James, the splendid red engine, was taking a mixed goods train to Wellsworth. The sun shone, his red paint gleamed, and the trucks were behaving rather well. All in all, James thought he was approaching the perfect day. That was, until he came to the level crossing. On the junction to Edward's branch line, there's a level crossing with two sets of gates. Most engines and road vehicles are fine with this. That is, apart from George. George is a disagreeable steamroller. He never stops complaining. No matter what the situation or how good it may be, he always finds something to complain about. It was just that unfortunate situation that George was waiting by the crossing as the long, slow train approached. As James passed by, he cried out, "What's that steaming lump of rusty red scrap iron doing here?" James groaned. "Not you again," he grumbled. This made George cross. "Just you wait and see," he called. "With trains as slow as this, the Fat Controller will have no choice but to replace these no-good railways with roads." James puffed on past. He told Edward what George had said in the next station. "Just ignore him," Edward puffed. But James was too cross to just ignore him. He wanted to pay George back for all his teasing. "Somehow," he chuffed, "I will find a way to pay that steam pot out." Over the next few days, George was rather common at that same crossing. The big main line engines became very cross. George would always shout the same thing. "Railways are no good, turn them into roads." They told the Fat Controller, and he had stern words with George, but George still carried on with his nonsense. But one morning, George's luck ran out. He was sat at the crossing gates waiting for Henry to pass. As he did, George went on with the same verbal abuse, until Henry had passed. George then did something very dangerous. He edged onto the crossing to shout after Henry. The crossing at that junction is controlled by the signalman at Edward's station. He turns a big wheel and the crossing gates close. The signalman couldn't see George, and without warning he was suddenly shut inside the crossing gates. "Wait, what?" cried George. James was storming up the line with an express goods train. He'd been held up on Gordon's Hill and was now in a desperate hurry. All signals shone green and he began to speed up. "Come along, come along," he called to the trucks. "We're on our way, we're on our way, we're on our way," the truck said. James shot through Edward Station and rushed towards the junction crossing. "No!" George cried. "Help!" James was very surprised to see George stuck at the crossing. "Heep, heep!" he whistled. "Thanks God, please!" Sparks shot up from James's wheels, but he knew he wasn't going to stop in time. Toby soon arrived to clear away the wreckage. George was in a horrible state, and James's front was badly damaged. As soon as the signalman heard what had happened, he ran to help. "Now," said the Fat Controller sternly, "what to do with you? Perhaps this will teach you about teasing steam engines and being careless." "Yes, sir," said George. "Trains are big, fast, and heavy things, George," said the Fat Controller, "and no matter how clever you may think you are, you must never, ever move over the crossing without checking for trains first." George stayed silent. "At least this will teach him about teasing the engines, eh, James?" Toby smiled. "Yeah," laughed James. "Not so clever now, are you?" James was taken to the works, and as for George, well, he always repairs. He's not as quick to make remarks about the railway anymore. Even if he does, he can do no harm. The engines never listen to him anyway.